Every single time you send an email, buy something online, or even just browse the web, there's this invisible science working in the background to protect you. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that science: cryptography, the art of secret communication. It's a question we should all probably be asking ourselves, right? You hit send on a message, you type in your credit card details, but what actually happens in that tiny fraction of a second as your data zips across the internet? Is it really, truly safe from prying eyes? Well, that is the fundamental problem that cryptography was born to solve. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with the core problem of online trust, then jump into the secret history of codes. We're going to see how messages get scrambled, compare the two main ways it's done today, and we'll even look at the wild idea of hiding secrets in plain sight. Let's get into it. Okay, to really get this, let's meet the two most famous people in cybersecurity: Alice and Bob. All Alice wants to do is send a private message to Bob. The problem, they have to send it over the internet, which, you have to remember, is basically a huge, untrusted public space. And to do that, they run into some really serious trust issues. It pretty much boils down to these four big questions. First, how does Alice know she's actually talking to Bob and not some imposter? That's authentication. Second, can they be sure no one is eavesdropping on them? That's privacy. What if someone grabs the message mid-flight and changes it? Well, that's a breach of integrity. And finally, could Alice send a message and then turn around and say, nope, wasn't me? Non-repudiation makes sure she can't. Solving these four problems, that's the whole point of modern cryptography. So how in the world do we solve all that? Well, the answer lies in a field with a history that's just as fascinating and secret as the messages it protects. And believe me, this isn't some new internet thing. Its roots go back thousands of years. The name itself, cryptography, literally comes from the Greek words for secret writing. And really, that's the perfect description. It's the science that lets us talk securely even when we know the channel we're using, like the internet, is fundamentally insecure. For most of human history, cryptography was this exclusive tool for spies and generals, stuff for the battlefield. But what's absolutely amazing is how it's changed. In just the last 50 years or so, it's transformed from kind of a dark art into a hardcore mathematical science. It moved out of the war room and straight into your web browser, securing everything from your bank account to your DMs. So, how does this secret writing stuff actually work? The main process is called encryption. And you know what? At its heart, it's a beautifully simple idea. Okay, here's how it goes. You start with your regular message. That's called plaintext. Then you take a secret piece of info called a key. You feed both of those into an encryption algorithm, which then scrambles your message into unreadable gobbledygook called ciphertext. On the other side, the receiver uses the exact same key to run the process in reverse, unscrambling it back into the original plaintext. And here's the crucial part. The scrambling method can be public knowledge, but that key, that has to stay secret. This quote just nails the concept. Seriously, think about it. The design of a combination lock isn't a secret, right? You can go to the store and buy the same exact model as your neighbor. The security doesn't come from the lock. It comes from your unique secret combination, your key. It's the exact same principle in the digital world. Okay, now this is where it gets really, really interesting. It turns out there isn't just one way to handle that secret key. There are two major approaches, or you could call them two flavors of cryptography. So on one side, you have symmetric cryptography. This is the classic method where Alice and Bob use the very same secret key to both lock and unlock the message. It's been around forever, and it's super fast because the math is pretty straightforward. Then, on the other side, you've got asymmetric cryptography. This was a mind-blowing invention from the 1970s. It uses two different keys that are mathematically linked, a public key that anyone can use to lock a message, and a private key that only the receiver has to unlock it. It's a bit slower, sure, but it solves the one giant problem that stumped cryptographers for centuries. How do you securely share a secret key in the first place? So which one do we actually use today? Well, the brilliant answer is, we use both. Think about when your phone connects to a secure website. First, it uses the slower, asymmetric method to do a digital handshake and securely agree on a brand new one-time use symmetric key. Then, once they've shared that secret, they switch to the super-fast symmetric key for the rest of the conversation. It is truly the best of both worlds. But, scrambling messages isn't the only way to keep a secret. Sometimes the absolute best way to hide something is to make it look like there's nothing there to hide at all. This is a whole other field called information hiding. And its most famous branch is something called steganography. Now, instead of making a message unreadable, the goal here is to hide the fact that a message even exists. For instance, you could hide a secret text document inside a completely normal-looking picture of a cat, and nobody would ever know it's there unless they knew exactly where and how to look. And yeah, just like cryptography, this is an ancient art. One of the wildest historical examples comes from ancient Greece. The story goes, a general shaved a messenger's head, tattooed a secret message right onto his scalp, and then just waited for the hair to grow back. The message was perfectly hidden in plain sight. I mean, come on, it doesn't get more creative than that. All right, we have covered a ton of ground here, from ancient history all the way to modern math. So what's the one big idea you should really walk away with from all of this? It's this. Cryptography isn't just a gadget for spies anymore. It is the invisible, fundamental shield that makes our entire modern world possible. Without it, there's no online banking, no private messaging, no e-commerce. There's simply no trust on the internet at all. It is the silent guardian of our digital lives. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. Cryptography is one of these incredible, super complex systems working constantly in the background to keep us all safe. And it makes you wonder, what other invisible systems are out there quietly protecting and enabling our world every single day?